What up, people? Hope you're doing well. What's today? Today is Wednesday. I'm starting a couple minutes early because before my guests, I love to do a Q&A with you guys. Any questions you got for me? Any comments? Anything you saw? Let's talk about it. This is me and you time. This is our time together right now. And then Brian Norris, he's a phenomenal actor. He's going to be on helping. I want to help people understand because acting obviously is big in the industry and the patience and how do you break through. He's an acting coach as well. He's my acting coach. So it's going to be a great conversation about overcoming adversity and really putting your head down and doing the work. So hopefully it inspires a lot of you. So, but right now it's me and you. It's me and you time. So whatever questions you got, whatever comments you got, maybe you saw something you want to talk about, but you know what I got to do first. People love it, so I got to play the Yo. I danced the whole time during that. I'm like, So, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. You guys are checking in already. What's up, Anthony? Aquino, good morning. Where are you checking in from, Anthony? That's the thing. If you check in too, I like to show where everybody checks in from. You know what I mean? I want to show your city, your state some love. So, Anthony, where you checking in from? Yesterday was a cool day. ABC is doing this thing called Black in America, Soul of a Nation. It's called Soul of a Nation. And I was part of the program. And they came out. Big shout outs to Alex Perez, ABC correspondent, came out, interviewed me for Soul of a Nation. I will let you know what date I'm going to be on. But it was inspiring, man. I got to talk about family. I got to talk about my values of family. It was great, man. It was about my family was in it. So I can't wait for you guys to see it. Wings. Morning, yo. How you been? I've been great, man. I've been great. Any thoughts about Texas opening to 100%? Thank you for that. And these are the questions I like. Look, I'm from Houston, Texas. I think it is idiotic that Texas is opening to 100% right now. Idiotic. Because I guarantee you that governor or whoever decided to do that, he got his vaccine, right? You know he got his vaccine. I love that the people that open stuff up, they don't hang out with nobody. He ain't going to be out. It's not like he's going to be walking around the mall. What do I think of Texas opening 100%? I do know this, though. The only positive thing I can say about it is my parents got their vaccines, and I know they're getting the vaccine out fast in Texas. They're very efficient with it. Maybe they're seeing data I'm not seeing. I don't know. But just off the top of my head, when this thing isn't under control yet, it's getting better, but it's not under control. I think it's stupid. But it is a state that you elected Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is a moron. Straight up. Like, here's the thing. I'm from Texas. Like, Texas blood runs through me. And everybody in Texas knows one thing. Family is first. And if anyone attacked my wife, my father, my mother, anyone in my family, I would have nothing to do with them. Nothing. And this ain't even political. This is about honor. This is about respect. And Donald Trump attacked this dude's wife, called her ugly, attacked his father, and this dude just sucked up to him. Texas ain't about that. Texas is not about that. He went to the Caribbean or wherever he went. Whatever about that. I'm talking about being a man and letting people talk about you and then you kissing their ass. To me, that's not Texas at all. That's not the Texas I grew up with. Shoot, there'd be fights up in the streets. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't go down. It wouldn't go down me kissing somebody's butt, them talking crap about my family. So that's what I think about the whole Texas thing. Your comments are coming in. I'm getting to them. What up, Mike? It's hump day. Staying encouraged in all Ohio. What's up? Oh, Anthony, you're checking in from Vallejo, California. Wings, West Laco, Texas. Where's that by? West Laco, Texas. Is that by more Dallas? Is that by Houston, Austin? Where is that, Wings? Wings said, I'm kind of glad that places like the historicals in El Rey can now open. I just hope everyone is smart. Look, you can be smart and safe. But here's the problem when you open up and then you say there's no mask mandate. People are idiots. Well, I ain't got to wear it. I ain't got to wear it. And then you're going to deal with those people. You know? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm scared for. What's up, Andrea? Rodriguez, Newham, Dallas, Texas in the building. I love Dallas. Now, I'm from Houston. So you know Houston is better than Dallas, Andrea, or Andrea, however you say your name. You know we're better than Houston. I mean, we're better than Dallas. We are better than Dallas. Dallas, I want to say Houston keeps it realer than Dallas. Dallas is the type of place that people put on full makeup to go to a grocery store. I think I got Dallas right in saying that. Full makeup going to the grocery store. Oh, you went to North Shore? She said she went to North Shore. Ooh, North Shore High. Ooh, North Shore High. I remember that chant because North Shore, when I was in high school, had one of the best basketball programs in the country, not the state, country. And they were beating us by like 40 points. I'll never forget it. And that crowd was like, ooh, North Shore High. Ooh, we were getting beat so bad. I was like, North Shore. I was singing their song. We were getting beat so bad. I was singing their song. Oh, I hear you. Edward Lopez went to school with him, man. Says he's trying to keep things safe out there. Please be safe because COVID is real. Trust. Man, I don't know. I think it's idiotic. Even if they said, okay, we're going to open everything up 100%. But when he took off the mask mandate, that just gives permission for idiots to be idiots. That's my opinion. I would much rather him say, open it up, but you have to wear a mask. Like at the airport. So does someone from Texas answer this? Does that mean if you go to an airport now, you don't have to wear a mask? Or can the airport say, no, you still got to wear a mask? That's interesting to me. Yeah, man. So my daughter has been on a streak. She just turned 1. I think she has some teeth coming in. Man, she has been crying 24/7. Like she woke up 10 times last night. Night before only 4, but the night before that 9. I'm not getting any sleep. And my wife doesn't want to sleep train. So brother is in the struggle right now. You know? But look, my wife doesn't want to sleep train. So our Sunday kind of a sleep train. But my wife just I don't know how she does it. Because she's up way longer than me because she has to put the baby back down. She has to feed it. It's tough, man. And you know me. I would have slept trained that baby at 3 months. If I had my way, that baby would have been slept trained. Sleep. You know? Wing Sandoval, thanks for answering this question, man. I really wanted to know this. Airport can make it mandatory. Many companies and schools have already said they will still be doing 6 feet apart. And you must wear. Okay, that's good. So he can say a no mask mandate, but private companies can still, a private business can say, hey, you got to wear a mask in here. So I'm very excited. Coming in soon, Brian Norris. He's a great guy. I want to check, make sure we're still on time here. Yeah. So Brian Norris is going to be on. He's my acting coach. He's a phenomenal actor. He's in many TV shows. Probably notice him when he's on. We're going to talk. You know, I hope you guys, if you missed it yesterday, I interviewed the guy, the CEO from Traeger. Now, after this podcast, if you have time, please go back and listen to the other podcast because this guy takes businesses and flips them not flips them, but changes the culture and really invest in people, which I think you guys needed to hear. So he took Skull Candy. I don't know if you remember those old headphones, Skull Candy. The company was only making $1 million a year. He changed that to $300 million. He took over Traeger 7 years ago. They were making $30 million a year. And now they're making over $800 million a year. Like the dudes, I met him probably about a year ago, and he inspires me so much. He inspires me so much. So that's why I love to have Jeremy Andrus. So if you see Jeremy Andrus, make sure look him up. The dude is so inspiring. He was on yesterday. Literally, he takes companies, changes it, invest in people. And this podcast is all about uplifting people. Everyone needs to work for a person like that. Or if you are a boss or want to be a boss, be like that. Because if you invest in the people, invest in the company, people are going to come back and be happier about it. So definitely check that podcast out tomorrow. But I'm happy to say he just tuned in. I got my good friend, actor extraordinaire, Brian Norris. What's up, my friend?
Hello, Michael. Yo, it's good to see your face. I'm good. I feel like you're taking me on a date. I already have showered. I'm wearing a collared shirt.
I know. You're very dressed up. I wear the same thing every day.
It felt like a reason to do something different. So I hope you're going to take me someplace nice.
Oh yeah.
Up the bill.
I will pick up the bill.
Yeah. Okay.
But I remember when I was single. The one date I remember. The girls, they always do the reach for the purse, like they're gonna pay, but but they know they're not gonna pay. Yeah, the whole reach thing. So I remember a girl reached, and I go, no, I got it. She goes, oh no, I was just getting my makeup. And
I just want one of them to check. I'm testing you. Just that's all that's happening right now. I'm just seeing where you're gonna. I'm gonna go closer to it. Closer. Get it? It's just a test.
Yeah, it's like, why would you even say anything? Just leave it alone. Like, just
let me do the thing.
It's the worst.
Well, if they do the reach, then I already don't seem as good a guy for just doing it, right? I mean, I feel
but to me as a guy, you want them to reach. You want them to reach.
Okay.
Yeah, because if they
I was
don't,
bad at all that stuff. I was bad at all.
Were you really?
I was terrible at it. I was always just watching myself too much and reading too much into everything. Being married is much better. I know where I stand with her.
You know what's great about being married is I couldn't imagine dating right now. Like, honestly, I would be alone for the rest of my life. Honestly, I would be alone. That's how I feel about my life.
I feel like dating during a pandemic, it's like you better like the person because you will be stuck with them if you sleep with them.
Yes,
it's one and done. You got to quarantine. There's all this build up to it. You can't see anyone else. You can't play the field. You're done. One and done.
But my question is, for all these couples that got together during the quarantine, what happens when everything opens up and now you get to see other people?
Ooh.
I think there's going to be a lot of breakups, man. You're like, I liked you during the pandemic, but now I don't know.
When you were competing against no one but yourself, it's really good. It feels like, do you ever play Mario Kart and you could do that thing where you race the level, but then you could race the best version of yourself racing that level? Yeah, I feel like that's what dating in pandemic is like, because on the first day you show up and you're awesome. So you're going to lead with the best foot forward and all that wonderful stuff. You might be like me today and wear a collared shirt for once, but then a few days in, everyone remembers that guy. But I'm showing up. I'm not wearing pants. I haven't brushed my teeth in 6 days.
I think you nailed it on the head when you're dating in a pandemic, you're just competing against yourself. So once the doors open up, look, Kim's checking in. She says, hi from San Diego. Dating sucks right now. I don't know, but I would imagine it can't be great. Somebody can give you something that could kill you. Literally, it's not good.
You don't have to be dating for that though. That's just anybody.
That's true. That's everywhere. That's everywhere.
For anybody.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, I guess. All right. So Brian, you're an actor. You're a phenomenal acting coach. You're my acting coach. I wanted to jump into this because you're a very positive guy too. What I love, if you don't know Brian, phenomenal actor, but his acting, he has a class on Wednesday nights that I take that I've never found a group of people that I don't really know, but instant. I cared about them and I felt like they cared about me. But that's because of you, and you set that type of environment. How hard was it to set that type of environment for this class? And how long did it take?
I had to like break each and every one of them through a lot of cruelty and shame
Yes.
and just like a lot of, I mean, it took years to really break them down. No, oh gosh, I feel so weird talking about, I've been an actor for over 20 years now. I've been a teacher for 10. And one thing that you learn being an actor for that long is that when people start talking about their coaches, everyone kind of rolls their eyes a little bit because there's that like, no, 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 don't push your shit on me.
Yeah.
So I take all that with a grain of salt, but I don't know. I feel like it's been cultivated over years. I've been teaching that class for almost 10 years now because the studio's 11. And a lot of those people have been in there for, more than 3-4 years. And so that family and that class identity has kind of cultivated itself over the years. But I think the people who kind of buy in to, there's a lot of ways to get where you want to get in your career. I know that mine is not the only one, but I know that my way in for me or for the people that I work with is some level of authenticity and vulnerability leading the way. And if that's not something that makes sense to you or feels comfortable or exciting to you, you're probably not going to love that room. And it probably means that all that kindness, authenticity, and vulnerability that whole group is just leading with is like
Yeah.
a turn off. But for you, you're someone who does the same thing. You lead with your heart. You lead with that kindness. You don't need to like come in with that chip on your shoulder. And as a result, I think you're exactly the type of person who's able to just like go right in with the flow,
Oh,
like you've been there for years.
I loved it. So I do want to get into your story. I want to know, you said you've been acting 20 years, but what made you want to act? Was there a moment when you were growing up, you saw a movie, you saw an actor, and you were like, yes, this is why I want to act?
I could give you 100 of those.
Okay.
My parents will tell you 2 of them that they remember: the preschool play. I was Tweedledee, and Alice in Wonderland. And there's a video of it. I loved that curtain call. Let me tell you, that kid is not leaving that stage. The teacher actually had to I go back out on stage and I start waving to everyone again. The teacher comes on and picks me up and actually just like carry me off. I also remember that my parents took me to see Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway when I was 5, and I couldn't sit through anything, and they were terrified. And apparently, just like rapt attention, just jaw on the floor, so happy, and wanted to instantly see it again. So they got an idea of the bug early. But I think the big thing for me was I was the sick kid. I was like the bubble boy kid. I was allergic to everything. I had terrible asthma, couldn't do sports. I couldn't go over to people's houses if they had animals. I was super cool, if you can't tell. And my parents didn't know what to do with me. And the summer before, they'd put me at a place called Roughing It, which I'll tell you, not a good place for an allergic kid. And that went badly. And so the next year, they're like, what do we do? And they found a Shakespeare camp, which, yeah, nerd alert. And I
Wow.
loved it. I was like 9 years old. The first group was called Pucksters. And at the end of it, you put on an hour-long show. We did As You Like It. I played Touchstone. And I was like, I found my place. I
So
found where I
did your parents realize at 9 this is what you need to do? Did was this pretty much okay? He's going to be an actor. We all see it. We all know he loves it. And was there, look, 20 years ago, kids were even crueler than they are today. Was there some type of stigma with acting where kids would make fun of you?
Oh, they were already making fun of me. So
Okay.
that was check that box already. I was also like, I was like the runt. I was like so little, I did not know how to defend myself. So I don't know. The acting maybe was the place where I felt safer because they had to listen and they had to applaud at the end. That was great. I
Oh
liked
yeah,
that.
they had to applaud you, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, they had to. No, my parents, I love them so much, so supportive, but I don't think they had any idea what it all really meant to me. They're both, I was growing up in the Bay Area. Both my parents are attorneys. Um, and so I don't know where the creative gene came from with those two, to be honest. And so they just, I think, thought it was a fun place for me. And they were just so happy to have an answer for me. In San Francisco, there's a place called Kids on Camera. And if you're going to get your kid into the on camera business in any way, that's kind of the place you go. And it feels a little bit like a training program and a little bit just like a daycare. Kind of, they hit both. And I did their first workshop, and Judy Savage of the Savage Agency, she's no longer there, But she pulled my parents aside and she was like, your kid needs like a year or two of classes, but he should be coming to LA for pilot season. We'd love to rep him.
Oh,
And
wow.
my parents thought, that woman wants us to take more class. She's after our money. And so we did not do anything for like 2 years after that. But then I eventually worked my way back to Kids on Camera. And that led to me getting my first agent in San Francisco, Marla Del Talent. Shout out Marla if you still are around and in business now. But that kind of got it started. Led to some like pilot seasons in LA. It led to my first couple jobs. I got my SAG card early. I was 15
How'd
years
you get
old.
your SAG card? Yeah.
It was an episode of Nash Bridges. It made me so cool in high school. I told everyone I had Yasmin Bleeth's number because I had the call sheet. I was like, I got a number.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm hanging out with Cheech. I'm hanging out with Don Johnson. It turns out the Don Johnson name didn't mean as much to the people in high school, but Cheech and Yasmin Bleeth, that carried some cred that lasted for a week or two. So yeah, that was like the first guest
And
star thing
how was it after the episode aired and people saw it? Were you like a rock star at school?
for about a week, and then they remembered who I was and that I didn't know how to keep that thing going the rest of the time. Yeah, but it was neat. It definitely gave me an identity. And I went to school. I always went to I grew up in Berkeley, and I went to these tiny little private schools, which were awesome in certain ways. They were really progressive. I think when a lot of people think of private school, they think of like religious and uniforms and all this stuff, and not in Oakland, not in Berkeley. It's a different vibe there. But also like very focused on academics. And so the administration wasn't that happy that I was taking time off from their rigorous academic program for tweens and was doing this creative stuff. So more of the pushback came there. For this, it was for the kids, it was like, it just gave me an identity where I feel like a lot of them had already started to find it.
Well, you've seen every type of actor in your class or just in the industry come and go. What is the biggest mistake because there's a lot of people that watch this show or listen to this show that may want to break into the industry. With your experience, what's the worst thing they can do when they first start? Like, what's the biggest mistakes you see?
The biggest mistake in a career, I feel like, is just trying to get seen before you're ready. I think that's easily the biggest one. There's so many ways, whether it's like workshops or your friend who knows an agent or so many different ways to get in front of people. But if you're not able to take advantage of that opportunity and at least say like, I'm really competitive here, this job might be mine. If not, I can absolutely be ready for one down the line. If you go in there and you basically announce, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, that is a tough one to come back from. Because people who are in the industry, especially in casting, one of their great superpowers is memory. Not that they're like sitting around trying to create their shit list or anything like that. I think instead, they just have to have an encyclopedic memory of actors. That's how they do their job so well. And they love actors. And so they love remembering great things about different ones. But when one shows up and is unprepared and acts that like they're entitled to a job before they've kind of really learned the ropes, learn what they're doing, I think that that's one of the quickest ways. There's so many people who they show up in LA and they take 20 casting director workshops before they've taken a class. And I just think it's cart before the horse a little bit.
So what is the one, because you've been to a lot of castings, obviously. Was there one moment where you absolutely bombed and you were like, I got to make this up with the casting director? And how do you do that?
Okay, so here's my worst audition story. I think my guess is not, you've never heard this one. Okay, so I had some audition for, I think it was like a Lifetime movie, based on a really sad story about a kid who, like a closeted teen whose family like forced into like a rehabilitation camp, and it goes really badly and he dies. Like, it's a really sad story. And the mom was going to be played by, I think, Sigourney Weaver. And so I knew it's like, oh my God, you get to act opposite her. Just a legend. This part is great and it's showy and it's got a lot of emotion. And emotion is actually something that's pretty easy for me. But early on in my career, I didn't really have a lot of trust in myself. So I've got these sides. I know I need to cry like a lot. And I'm worried it's not going to come. And then I have this genius idea, which is, you know what makes you cry? Onions. Onions. That'll make you cry.
Uh-huh.
And so I started experimenting rather than doing what I should have been doing, which is just like working on the text and being ready to be emotionally present in the room and do my thing that I'd been training for my entire life. Instead, I was trying to learn the science of crying from an onion. And like, okay, how long can you chop it up? And you need to like get it right in your eye. And how does it work? And long story short, I ended up in the office with a bag full of onions in my pocket, just desperately trying to get that shit in my eyes. And I'll tell you, one thing I didn't realize is once you have a reaction to that, it takes like another 20 minutes for your whole body to even be receptive to those chemicals again. So I didn't cry. I did smell like onions. I did not book the job. And I never saw that casting director again, as she's totally correct. Maybe I have since. I don't think so. But you don't fix a thing like that. Here's the thing. If you bomb a first date,
Yeah.
you're probably not marrying that person.
Mhm.
The good news is there's lots of great people out there. There's
Yeah.
so many great people out there. So my thought is like, you don't need every casting director to love you. Just like you don't need to walk down the street and have every person want to have sex with you. It's a bit too much, but you find your fans.
So a good sign, like when you're early in acting, if you don't get the part, but the same casting directors keep asking you back, that's a great sign.
That's a wonderful sign. It's so competitive to even get that audition spot, to be guaranteed that we want to see your work. That's a huge thing right there. And so if they're saying, you, Michael, you are one of the 20 that we are absolutely going to see, you have a 1 in 20 shot at this job right now,
Yeah.
where the rest of the world has a 1 in however many billion shot. Like you're well in the game at that point.
Look, I just started acting not too long ago, but I wanted to know from your take, what's your biggest up and what's your biggest down in the industry wise? Because I believe it can be taxing, because especially if your value is what somebody else says about it. You know, the yeses and nos. You know, like and I would imagine it takes a while before you say, "Nope, that's just how it is." You know?
I mean, I think I'm a little inoculated to it because I grew up in it. Like I've never ever gone out for a job that I was supposed to get in my whole life. Like of
Okay.
any kind. Like I've never applied for a job where like, no, we think we're only seeing 3 people. I've never had that experience. I'm qualified for this? Wow. I've never had a normal job. I guess teaching is the closest thing, and I didn't apply for that. So it was its own story how I got that. So biggest ups, you mean like emotional? Or do you
Yeah,
mean like
I mean, just like I'm talking about just like your journey. Like, because was it the first time you got booked? Was it I'm talking about as far as the industry wise, as far as career wise, your biggest up, and then your biggest letdown. Maybe you got all the way to the end for something and they were like, nah.
I mean, I've been doing this long enough that there's a bunch that come to mind. There's a bunch.
Yeah.
I feel like there's 2 for the up. When I was probably like 2 years, 3 years out of school, I was auditioning, and I had an audition for NCIS and an audition for a show that's no longer on the air called The Unit. That was like it was like an army show with
Mhm.
a whole bunch of wonderful people in that show. Our Patrick and wonderful people. And I was on hold for both of them. And my agents called and they say, well, NCIS wants to book you. And I was like, that's great. I would love to do that show. And I get a call 1 minute later from my manager. The unit wants to book you. And they shoot at the same time. And it very quickly seemed like you're not going to get both of these. That's kind of impossible. And because you're difficult now, we might just skip on both. And it ended up working out that I ended up booking both of them, and they shot on the same day. So I ended up going to Fox to start my day to shoot on The Unit, where I'm this like POW who's getting tortured with, and I'm getting to do a scene with the guy who played T-1000 in Terminator 2, and he's doing Elvis impressions the whole time. And the whole thing just is like, this is so cool. And then they're all like, well, we need to shoot Brian out because he has to go do his other gig. And so they shoot me out before the series regulars. And then I get in my car and I drive up to Franklin Canyon, where we're doing a night shoot for NCIS. And I get out of my car there and I realize it's the first time in my life it's the cold open of the episode. I played this like high school student who was trying to crash the cool kids party.
Yeah.
And finds a dead body in the way. But the fun thing is the first time I shot something with no series regulars in it. And at first I was kind of bummed. It's like, oh man, it would be fun to work with Mark Harmon or someone like that. But here's what I didn't realize. I was number 1 on the call sheet all of a sudden. And that meant I got to hang out more with the director, and I got to get to know the DP better. And as a young guy coming up, I felt much more like I had a right to take up space on set, because for that scene, I was the highest one on the call sheet. And that was a fun experience to get to do both of those in one day. And I was like, okay, this feels like a professional experience. This feels like a win.
I feel like that's something that, yeah, I drove from one shoot to another shoot. I'm an actor. Like, it's that fulfillment. Like, I am doing that. I'm actually doing it.
Yeah, multiple people are willing to pay me for this. That is a wild, wonderful thing. So that was a great one. And then, the work that inspires me the most, I started in Shakespeare camp. I love doing, like, getting into like prestige drama, that 1 hour stuff. That's probably the stuff that creatively lights me up the most. But I'll also tell you that having some degree of commercial success as an actor is also a huge up. I booked a gig as the voice of Wendy's fast food, and for 5 years I was the national campaign voice. And the up that security gave me, of like, I have 4 voiceover sessions a week. I know where that I'm going to eat for the entire year. I was eventually able to actually, like, buy a small home, and that was the ultimate vision board dream for me as an actor. I didn't think I'd get to that until I was 60.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that while I'm still going after all my creative stuff and just looking around and thinking, like, I never had to look. Some people would say selling fast food is selling out. I would say giving up the dream is selling out.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, I've made this work. My parents aren't nervous anymore. People used to say, like, oh, you're still doing that. Now they are impressed with, like, how I show up. It's
Yeah.
no longer,
No, I got you.
Yeah.
Now, what about the down? Was there
Okay.
one moment career-wise where you're like, this might not work, or this is the worst experience of my life, and how do I recover from this? Besides the one casting thing.
Well, the onions were pretty low.
Yeah, that was
pretty
low. You were young then. But you were young then, right?
Most of my stuff, I was probably like 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
Most of my downs were really early with that. I still remember I showed up to a manager's house, I showed up to a manager's office. The acting teacher I was with at the time had a philosophy called cream puffing, which was, if you really want, like, a manager, an agent to like you should drop off some cream puffs.
What?
And so I took that advice. And I found the office address, and I showed up with, like, an ungodly number of cookies, like, so many, imagining that, like, there must have been 100 people working there.
Yeah.
And then I show up at the office. The office is his home. He works there with his wife. I've showed up at somebody's house with too many cookies, not even an appropriate number of cookies. And Paul Bennett, I remember him saying, like, hello? I said, hi, I'm here. And he's like, I know why you're here. Thank you. And then he took the cookies. And just closed the door. And, like, 2 years later, I had a manager. I'd finally found a manager. I'd kind of gotten my sea legs under me a little bit. And I ran into him at a party. And I say, we had a nice conversation, almost like strangers. And I say, I don't know if you remember me, but and he says, oh, Brian, I know exactly who you are.
Did he say anything about the cookies?
It was unspoken. It felt like it was there.
Okay.
It felt like they were in the room with us. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the lows for me, I guess there were a couple times. Those first couple years out of college, I stared a lot at pre-law books, wondering whether I should go down that road. And there were a lot of nights really trying to wrap my head around the idea of, like, can I make a decision for the rest of my life right now? Because worrying that if I didn't start something else, that it would never happen. And would I ever be able to get married, have a family, have a home, any of those things? Those questions just rang so loud. And I felt like there was some potential security through law, because my dad had his own firm. I could have absolutely, people talk about nepotism in Hollywood. I would have loved some nepotism in Hollywood. The place where I could have had nepotism, I was like, yawn, you guys don't seem that happy. Skip it. I'll tell you one down. So I work at John Rosenfeld Studios. John is my acting coach and my teaching mentor. Shout out to John. When the studio first started, we didn't have a home base yet. We were in a black box on Santa Monica at the complex. And I remember I had a tantrum in class. It's one that he'll still tell people about. I had a straight up like a temper tantrum, like a child's temper tantrum, which is embarrassing because if you're young and in an acting class, the odds are you're looking for your entire social life out of there too. So I don't recommend having a temper tantrum in front of people you want to hang out with and date. But I remember I was struggling with some just like buddy comedy scene and I lost my mind. And I remember just yelling like, it's not my job to learn. My job is to book. And if I don't book, I can't eat. And if I can't eat, I can't live. And I just screamed. It's remarkable that he had me back in class the next week, let alone eventually hired me as a teacher. We should talk to him about why he makes
Yeah, why he did that.
why he did that. Jesus. And it's funny because now one of my colleagues was the TA in that class at the time, and she's like, "Oh, I remember that was wild." But I was so focused on the result. I needed to book to feel like I was getting somewhere. And I think that came a little bit from being impatient. And it also came from growing up in it. I had booked as a kid. And it didn't seem as complicated. It didn't seem as competitive. When you're going out for a role against 8-year-olds, you're going up against, people who are worrying about their summer camp, not, oh my God, I need to book this role for my career and my future and my family. So the stakes are different. The opportunities were different. And I think I just grew up with a wildly privileged view of what the industry was going to be like and how it was going to receive me because I started in such a really safe place with it.
You see child actors, ones that were huge when they were younger, then really struggle when they get older. I guess, to a certain degree, since you booked as a young kid, you've kind of went through that on a smaller level. And can you explain like how tough that really is for people? You could imagine.
I'm pretty thankful that I didn't have another path. I feel like I probably would have been a mess. I think that
it's a lot of it's a lot of pressure. I would imagine, like if you're a kid, 8, 9 years old, you book everything. Then when you're older, people are like, nah, we liked you when you were a kid, but not now. I mean, that's tough.
It is. Well, I had my own version of it where, it's not like I was a known Disney entity or something like that, but I definitely carved out a really good niche for myself in the industry as, I guess the term would be 18 plus to play younger.
Yeah.
Which is you have those teen roles where you don't want a minor to play the role because when you have someone who's under 18, you got to have a teacher on there and the hours are different. There's all sorts of labor laws. Plus, you're dealing with someone under 18 in a professional setting, which can be fine, but can also be a pain in the ass. So I got known by a lot of casting directors as like, oh, he'll play those kid roles. And I looked really young and I was like clean shaven and the widow's peak hadn't really come in yet. And I looked really, really young. And I booked a lot of parts that way for a long time. But then I started to get over that. I stopped finding those parts as interesting. And my ego got involved because I wanted to be seen as a man, not a boy.
Yeah.
I wanted women to see me that way. I wanted the parts to be there. I wanted to be, Matt Damon and not Doogie Howser. And so I started to very consciously push away the product that Hollywood had said, we like this on you. We'll keep paying you to do this. And I still wonder if I created like a dark period for myself in terms of how much I was working by kind of pushing those away earlier.
Do you kind of regret that?
I regret, I can't do anything about it now.
Yeah,
I would
that's
tell
true.
people not to do it, I guess is the main thing. This is something you asked me earlier. What's one of the biggest things people who are just starting out in Hollywood need to hear? You don't get to decide what roles people want to see you for. And that's true on the very micro level. Like, here's an appointment, you get to go in for it. But it's also just the types of roles at all. They really wanted me to embrace being young, being really embarrassing. Like they wanted like those kind of screech roles on me and things like that. And I wanted to see myself as cool and sexy and competent and a leader and an alpha and all this bullshit that was way more about my own psychological stuff. And you just can't tell them how to see you. If they see you as anything, that's such a gift. You've been invited into the party. And once you've done enough work that you've earned their trust, eventually you'll get to do that or make your own stuff where you prove you can do that. But people all the time want to control what they're being seen for. Yeah.
Now, would you suggest any new actor, if you get something like they want to see you on tape, no matter what it is, send it in? Do you believe in that? Or should they be selective if they're a newer actor, or go after everything?
I mean, if you're new, go after everything and submit, assuming that you actually feel like you're gonna deliver something
Okay.
competitive with it. Yeah, absolutely. It's it's so funny. My cousin-in-law is a surgeon, and he's looking to get his residency right now, and he has literally no say where in the entire country he's gonna live. Like he's spent most of his life in Atlanta and Seattle, and they might send him to like the middle of Missouri where he's never been before. And that's just what it is. People in the army get deployed. They don't get to say where they're going.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, you know what? I want to do a multi-camera sitcom, not a single cam, and no soaps. And your
Yeah.
agent is just like, I want to make money. Like, that's it. That's my job. I want to make money off of you. I want us to work together. So yeah, I think being choosy when you're just starting out is a huge mistake. Get experience, build a resume, and like, okay, so maybe you don't want to do a soap opera or a kids show. Already, I don't quite know why you wouldn't want to, but let's say you don't. The person who's the casting associate or intern on that is going to be a casting director in 10, 15 years, and they're
Yeah.
probably not going to be doing the same thing then. Like, just go get work. Go get work.
Do
A
you
teacher did say to me, this I thought was super good. It sounds obvious, but those who work a lot because they work a lot. Work
Yeah.
begets work.
Yeah, work gets work. What like, where are you in your career right now with roles? What roles are you looking for? Like, you really like to sink your teeth into. So what roles are those?
So my favorite thing that I've done in the last couple of years was I got to do a recurring role in the last season of *Halt and Catch Fire*. And that to me is exactly what I would love to be doing for the rest of my life. That was a prestige show on AMC with an incredible cast. The writers were just coming up with incredible stuff, and it has comedy in it. It has tragedy in it, and it's just really fucking smart. It had something to say about uh, the way computers have affected America, the way female entrepreneurs have come forward, and it just was like it was a really fun show to be on with incredible actors. I mean, Lee Pace, Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis, Carrie Bechet, Toby Huss, so many wonderful actors on that show. That was like, okay, if I could do something like this for the rest of my life, I will be so happy. Where I am in my careers, I still feel like I'm coming out the other side of this how old is he kind of thing.
Got
Where
you.
now I definitely am too old to play most kids. Like now, even if I wanted to, my hairline kind of gives me away a little bit. But I also don't look like most people's idea of a lawyer,
Mm,
in terms of like how much space I take up. So I feel like I'm still growing into the next part of my casting, and I feel it more every year, and I get more of those opportunities and bookings every year. I see like the age range of the breakdowns and the characters just like keep steadily finally going up after years of just being 16, 16,
yeah.
16, 16. So I feel like that's the direction I'm going in. Ironically, with my parents being lawyers and me not wanting to do it, I would love to do a legal procedural. Oh my God. If they brought back something like The Practice right now. I
Oh,
recently did a
yeah.
scene just with a friend of mine for like a play reading night. We did a scene from that, and it was so damn fun. Like, give me a reason to wear a nice suit and yell at a judge. I would love it. It would be fantastic. Give me like a
Now,
Grisham movie.
what mentality, because I find it interesting where some people get into acting, like a lot of people like, I want to be the biggest star in the world. And then I feel like once you're in it, you're like, I just want to work. And then like the expectations go down and down where you just want to be booked solid, just, be a working actor. Is there part of an actor that always should be like, I'm gonna be the biggest star in the world? Like, what is the mentality of, I guess, success in being an actor? I guess it's different for every person, but I mean, there has to be still this aggressiveness of like, I want to be huge, or no. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it depends on the person. Look, I think if you want to be the top of the top, if you really want to own Hollywood, I think you probably have to have just shy of a sociopath's desire for it. You hear stories that like Jim Carrey would sit above the Hollywood sign every night and yell, "I'm going to make $20 million." And I've heard that from enough places. I do believe that to be 100% true. I know uh, the woman who did my big fat Greek wedding, Nia Vardalos, apparently
Mhm.
would introduce herself to people as, "Hi, I'm Nia. I'm the funniest person you've ever met." That there is this like understanding of brand and how how much the entire world needs to respond to you in massive agreement at the exact same time. Like, that's wild. So I think if you want that $20 million a movie kind of thing, the very tip of the pyramid, my guess is you kind of need to have your eyes set on that pretty quickly. I don't think that happens accidentally, but I also think that that's kind of like winning the lottery. And I don't know that that's everyone's dream, like that level of fame, that level of a life. I don't know that that's what everyone wants. To me, I actually really like looking at acting much more. I think people look at it as this like kind of bohemian, it's a liquid moving target, and to me, I like a blue collar understanding of it. I like looking at an audition the way I would ask a plumber to come fix a toilet. It's not like, oh my God, you better do the greatest job in the history of time. I better look at that toilet and go, wow, how did you do that? No, I just want you to make the fucking thing work. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. And I don't know. I've felt the pressure of people who want to be great. I've felt that within myself of like, well, I want to win an Oscar someday. So this audition for, Law and Order and SVU needs to be the biggest thing of my life. And that doesn't help you do the job. What it does, it helps you bring in a whole bunch of pressure and a whole bunch of added baggage that you bring into the room. And now these people who are just looking to make their next episode of television now have some actor who's like working through their own value and talent issues in front of them rather than just playing the character that's being asked of them. So I sometimes think too much focus on success can take away from what does the character actually want. Something you and I have been talking about with a whole bunch of people in class lately is, we talk about objectives in acting, not to get like super nerdy right now.
No, please.
But people get so complicated with their wants. Like something that a teacher said to me once is, like, what does every pizza delivery guy want? A tip. Like, that's it. Don't get too complicated with it. But someone will have that audition for the pizza delivery guy, and they'll inevitably say, like, well, my want is that I meet the person and it's the most attractive person I've ever seen in my life. And I see, they say be the protagonist of your own story. So for me, this is Romeo and he's in love with her. The fuck are you watching? Like, isn't that going to help tell that story? No, come on, man. So I think that success is important, but I think it's important knowing the right place. If you go everywhere carrying that baggage with you, it's going to hurt. But if you recognize that to be successful, you need to just show up to the work more consistently than everybody else, then you're going to be fine. And that's what I see. Yeah.
I can't wait to get to the point because I hear so many actors. I have so many friends that work a lot in acting and they go, I'll talk to them. They're like, yeah, I did like 3 auditions in the last 3 days. And I go, oh, did you? No, I kind of went over them and just like to them, it's just like getting them in, getting them out. They're not worried about perfect. It's like, I'm just putting myself on camera, putting it out there. If they like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't. And I love how carefree. I know they're doing good work, but how carefree they are about it too.
Well, the thing with them is my guess is that they've already, you said they're working a fair amount. So people know what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's not, right now, you were saying that you haven't been doing this too long. We're actually coming up on our year anniversary.
But COVID stopped it a lot too.
Oh yeah, no, it's different. It's different, but a year is still really young in terms of starting in this stuff. But if you've been doing this for 5-10 years and you've just met all the casting directors and you've auditioned for them a number of times, they know what you do by that point. And so it's not like, oh shit, I've got to really find myself in this. They're practiced at that. And especially if it's people who have their background in stand-up, for example, or something like that point of view is wildly consistent and unique to you because you are going to be honing that point of view over every single show you do. And it's going to be refined for every single special you do. And so if we're going to bring you in for a multicam, the odds are we're not asking you to create something entirely new. The odds are we actually want you to bring that thing that's so special from your stand-up and find a way to bring that into this character. And so I think once people have really kind of cracked that code of I know that point of view and I know how to live that truthfully and authentically in a scene, then it becomes much more like, hey, Michael, come do the Michael Yo thing here. Or for other people who they don't have that, they're creating a new character every single time they audition. And for some people, that is a really amazing thing that gives them a lot of creativity. But for a lot, it's hard to create an identity where people will actually remember you. which is why sometimes we talk about, like, as actors, like trying to find some kind of an idea of a brand, just so that way people can have some context for you. So if they see you read twice, it doesn't seem totally foreign.
Okay, that's you mentioned branding a couple times. I do want to talk about branding. Everybody has a different definition of branding.
Yeah.
What's your definition for acting and branding where casting directors or people in the industry see you? What's branding mean to you?
That they know what to bring me in for. It's just that
Mhm.
simple.
It's that
That
simple.
that the parts that they bring me in for are the ones that I'm actually right for. You know, I have some clients who are regularly brought in, you know, they're like really beautiful, beautiful young women, and they'll be asked to play the bimbo or the like international woman of mystery. And really they want to play, you know, Monica and Friends.
Yeah.
You know, like they're a person and they're asked to be playing this, like, again, like Carmen Sandiego or something like that, basically. And it's just like that's not who they are. And there's going to be someone who walks in who brings that like world traveling cosmopolitan danger, and there is some truth to that. And you just don't want to be brought in consistently for things that you're not going to pop in. Like that's all we need. We just need that when you audition, when we want you to do this, that something kind of pops. I'm like, yes, I like that. It's watchable. I'm interested. And the fact is, most people are not going to pop in everything.
Mhm.
Usually it's specific casting that's going to work for you. If you bring me in for the Vampire Diaries, for like one of those lead roles of those like brooding, smoldering dudes, I'm not gonna pop the same way that some of those guys are, because they've been training for that their entire
Yeah.
lives. They didn't grow up as asthmatic Jews in Oakland, which I did. It's just a different place to come from. But you want somebody to play, you know, the guy who might create Google. That's a really good part for me.
I don't know. You seem like to me, you seem like you would play a good killer. Like literally you would be a good killer. To me. Do you ever get that? Yeah.
So one thing about your casting is that whatever people project onto you, the opposite is totally true as well. That's just shadow work. So for me, people generally see a lot of warmth, a lot of kindness, a lot of smiles, a lot of energy, a lot of intelligence, a lot of those things. And the funny thing is that if you turn that shit off, it gets really unnerving pretty quickly.
Yes.
You can feel all that potential energy that was there. And now it's like, what the fuck is going on behind that guy's eyes? So yeah, I've played a number of killers over the
Yeah,
years.
I could see it, man. When I met you, I
They're
was like,
fun.
yeah, you just I hate to say it, but you just have that look, Brian.
It's you know, I've usually the killers that I've played are mostly they have like a legit justification. I don't know that I've gotten, yeah, I don't think I've gotten to play just like a straight up serial killer, and that would be crazy fun. I've gotten to do ones where it's like I played the kid who was born uh, through in vitro fertilization, but figured out that the sperm doctor used his own sperm for everybody. So I'm gonna kill my biological dad. I played a
Uh,
guy who was like a Mennonite, which is like kind of Amish light, who is on his Rumspringa, who like kills his sister because she's you know, living a life that's too fast. So so there's a lot of murder, but it's generally for very personal reasons.
are you a guy because you hear about method acting? Are you a guy that kind of holds on to the character after it's done, or you just it's gone?
I've done my rounds. I've done my
Oh,
rounds.
really?
Well, I think it's like we're all just looking to see what works, you know? I think that's a big part of it. And I think it depends a little bit on how much you know that role. Um, so there earlier in my career I did a lot more. I did an entirely improvised horror movie. That was a weird experience. But you're doing something like that, you're going to stay in character most of the time because you're having to create everything constantly. And so how you listen and stuff, I think it's not something you can just turn on, turn off. But for a lot of the like, take a guest star. Like I did a guest star on SWAT, who was another killer. Hey, that was a fun one. That was getting to shoot a lot of guns. That was really fun. But with something like that, I had auditioned that material like 3 times already, and then we're shooting it over 2 weeks, and I believe in coaching every audition that I have, so I'd also gone over it with my coach, and by the time I'm shooting, like, I just know that thing like the back of my hand. I've done this a lot, and for that, I think it's actually probably really good for me, personally, to drop it in between. Like, what am I going to do? Just stand in the corner and like give serial killer eyes to the cast and crew?
Yeah.
I mean, if it works, if that's what you need to do, then go for it. But I didn't need that to do the job. That would just be me playing mind games afterwards. And so I don't know, it's to each person. I think some people it's really genuine. I think I heard an interview with Daniel Day-Lewis where someone asked him, why do you do all that stuff? And he said, if I knew any other way to do it, I'd do it that way. So I
Yeah.
think for some people it's necessary. It's when it becomes a psychological game, when it's like, this is me proving to the other actors how in it I am. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
when I think it becomes too much. But really, you know, as an acting coach, people are like, well, so what school are you? Are you Meisner? Are you method? What are you? I'm whatever fucking works, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the answer. I've done this too long. I can do 10 rounds going to like, advanced viewpoints theory and talk Anne Bogart with you. And I can also talk about how if you want to play drunk, spin around a bunch of times and the world seems pretty dizzy. Like, it's whatever works for you. There's an
Yeah.
acting coach out there, I will not say the name, but like in her book, she talks about all the different ways to play drugs. And it's like, well, the way you play heroin is you imagine that your brain is cotton candy, but for cocaine, and I'm like, are you crazy? If this works for somebody, that's great and no judgment. But the idea that that's how you teach acting a physical state, like, it's whatever works, and whatever works is the thing the audience cares about.
All right. Now I do want to end on this. You're going to be having a baby. How excited
Yeah,
are you? And how
I'm
are you?
so excited.
Okay, so mentally, like, how has it changed you already?
Well, it's made the goal of life is so simple right now. It is just keep mama healthy and get baby here healthy. Towards that end, I'm so excited to say that she's getting vaccinated later today as a pregnant healthcare worker. So I'm so excited about that. We're
Nice.
getting her first dose. That's going to take a huge weight off my back. But mainly I just am like a harder worker. I feel like a harder worker. It's just like, give me that chance to make money, do my job, do my thing. So that way we can get this house ready. We can make sure that we are financially ready for this kiddo, and that that it didn't get soft right before it. It's just made me sharper. I feel a
Do you
lot
do you
sharper.
feel more pressure since you're having a kid? Because I know, like when I was working, I was like, oh my god, I have a kid coming. I gotta even hustle even harder. And then with a second kid, I was like, I gotta push even harder. Like it's this because now every time when you're having a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, every time you look at them, you're like, first of all, the crazy thing about being a parent, when you look at them, you're like, that's us. Like we made that. It kind of still blows my mind. Like that's our people. Like
I
that's our
can't.
people.
I still can't
It's
even really believe it. My wife is saying like she has a relationship with her now because she just started the
oh,
third
100%.
trimester. So she
100%.
like feels it. She's like, she's here right now. She's kicking me. She likes this. She doesn't like this. And I'm like, she's just a belly to me still. Like the
Yeah.
belly is the baby right now.
I
It's
think
amazing.
I think for a man, it's weird because we don't go through that process. We're around, but as for me, I keep looking at my daughter and son, and I just look at my wife and go, "Can you believe like these are our people we're gonna create and mold for the future." It's just the craziest thing, but that puts a lot of pressure. For me, it's like I want to get better and better and better. And like stand up, I push really hard. Now acting, I'm pushing really hard. I just want to always get better and better and show because if I'm not pushing myself the most, how can I put it on my kids to always work hard and go for their dreams if I'm not going for mine?
I feel a lot of that. I think that there's a couple little differences. One is I think my wife and I are only going to have one, and in part because of financial reasons. Like
Yeah.
we feel a lot less pressure with one. So that's a piece of it right there. I also I definitely feel more pressure. I am focusing so much more on building my classes at the studio and on writing. I'm working a lot more on writing than I've ever done before. In terms of acting, I have really, I think, accepted on a very deep level that that is a boom bust job. That there are times when I'm going to be on two sets on the same day, and there's times when I'm going to have national campaigns, and there's times when I'm going to be doing recurrings on shows that I love, and there are going to be times that I don't. And like pilot season is coming around right now. I'm reading every damn script that I possibly can. It's not like I see a perfect series regular for me in every single one of them. And I think understanding that your moments come and being ready for them is something that makes me feel very calm. And it's just
Good.
like that, like every day has an equal chance. So I don't for me, I don't want to put extra pressure on that part because that's when I start pushing in my work, and that's my flaw that I have the most with it is I will push the emotion. So for me, feeling that push is the thing I try to pull back on, but it does make me feel like I need to be taking advantage of time in a way that I hadn't before.
Hmm.
Um, where it's like, can I be making myself better? Can I be making this home better? Can I be making my wife feel better? Can I be making some money for the family? That feels even stronger than before. But I'll also tell you, my dad was a workaholic. He, having his own law firm, he was doing that all the time, and it definitely provided for us, but it did not make me feel more loved. And the things that did make me feel love were when he was around and when we were
Yeah.
that quality time. And so that I think is bringing in my ear a lot of, as much as I want to like go do some big thing that's going to be really lucrative, I want to make sure that my life is set up where I get a lot of time with this kid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's the difference. It's like I was telling my friends, my dad would go to work at 8, come back at 6:30. We would have dinner. I would hang out with him. And on the weekends, we would hang out a lot. And he was a great dad, but I don't remember him as much as I remember my mom there every single day, But like my thing is, I want to be around for my kids all the time. So if I do get booked somewhere, I want to bring the whole family. That's just, it's not even it's a non starter. Like if I'm going, the whole family's going,
oh yeah, that's
but
the dream.
yeah, that's the dream, man. That's the dream. Well, Brian, I mean, I could talk to you all day. I appreciate you popping on, man, and
Dude, this was so fun. Thanks for having me.
I really, really appreciate everything you're helping me out with. It means the world to me. Hopefully, you inspired some other people. But I just got to say, I always, ever since I met you, I was like, this dude's, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna be huge, and you're killing it. And I love how you give back to the community. So that means a lot to me.
Oh man, I appreciate that. If anyone's listening, book this man. He's working his ass off. He's
Thank
he's
you.
so
Thank
good
you.
now. Book him. And also, if anyone's looking for something to watch on Hulu, March 26th, check out
Yes.
Into the Dark, Blood Moon. That's the season finale of Into the Dark, an anthology show. I will show up there on that. It is a really fun little horror movie, so check that out. Into the
Look
Dark
at
on Hulu.
Andrea. Thank you. This was a great comment. You're
Oh,
welcome.
thank you. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Andrea.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
watching. Thank you for watching. All right, Brian. I will see you soon, my friend.
I will see you soon, my friend. Be
All
well.
right. Have a great one. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you so much for watching Morning Yelp. Make sure you follow the page. We're blown up. We went over 182, I think. So we've grown 2,000 people in the last day or so. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Bye, guys. Love you.